Hey, hello, and welcome to this new episode. Let me just kick off, as I always do, with the reminder to all of us that in this physical experience, we have one life, just one. So, why aren't we like we are on fire towards our wildest goals and dreams? And let me say that I believe that is because most people believe that they don't have the ability to achieve those epic dreams, those huge goals, so they don't even bother. But let me help you and install the belief that you and I and every other human being with the ability to think has the ability to create anything and everything that they can hold in the image on their mind. But Proctor always said, if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your head. And throughout the past couple of episodes and today as well, we're going over the higher faculties of the mind. And the higher faculties of the mind give us the ability to be a creator of circumstance instead of a creature of circumstance. So, what were these higher faculties of the mind again? Well, let me remind ourselves. We've got the perception, the will, the imagination, the intuition, the reason, and the memory. And when we take a firm grip on these higher faculties of the mind, we're going to be able to live consciously from the real thinking process. Use the real thinking process consciously. So let's dive in to today's episode, the ultimate guide to manifestation. Napoleon Hill put it so beautifully. The imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful thing that the world has ever known. And why is that? That is because our imagination gives us the ability to create an image of something in our mind. And then through moving that image into our subconscious emotional mind, getting the feeling of that image as already fulfilled, it gives us the ability to turn it into physical form. So let me give you an example from my personal life. When I was still a student, some almost a decade ago now, I had to go for a practical internship to South Africa. So I worked in a hotel in South Africa, and what happened there at the end of my internship is that I fell in love to a South African beauty, Sammy D. And over this time, you fall deeper and deeper in love, and then all of a sudden you're ripped apart in some way. I had to go back to my city where I was studying in the Netherlands, and my lady stayed behind in Johannesburg. And from that point onwards, I was wow, like I really need to change my life if I'm going to be able to like make this relationship that I really want to make work. So that is how I got enrolled in the whole entrepreneurial roller coaster, by the way. But what we did is what completely flabbergasted me over time, because in the beginning I didn't realize what we were doing, but we told each other every night, I'll see you on the beach with a cocktail in hand. So we imagined every night before we went to sleep that we'd be sitting with a cocktail in hand on the beach together, somewhere in paradise. And that is how we went off to sleep. 2 years later, we were living in Barcelona, about a half an hour walk from the main beach in Barcelona. 3 years later, we had our apartment on the beach in Cyprus on the north coast, where we stayed for 2 years. So when I really started to dive deep in this material of how, for example, the imagination works, and like if you want to take a deep dive in how the imagination works, I suggest pick up the book Think and Grow Rich, which if you haven't read yet, It is a must read. And study the chapter Imagination by reading it every single day for 60 days. And you'll get such a great grasp of the imagination. For us, it was that we really wanted to be together, and we both loved the sea, the ocean, so we wanted to be living at the sea. And by creating that image in our head, without consciously realizing it, all of a sudden, 2-3 years later, we were sitting on that beach together, that beach from our dreams. And that is how we turn something from the subjective reality into the objective reality. By holding an image in our mind of that which it is that we really, really want, and using the power of our will to focus upon that image as much as long as possible, with the exclusion of all other possible things that you can be focusing on. So, of course, there's different action steps that you take, but when you've got that crystal clear image in your mind of what it is that you want, like, you get two different kinds of imagination, as Napoleon Hill describes it. You get the subjective imagination, which is basically the imagination that has compiled out of your memory all events, all history, all things that will come together in certain ways of information when you need it. And there's a second part of imagination that is the creative imagination, and that more comes from our intuition, that part of us that can almost read energy, and that part of us that is tapped into the universal mind, that when there is something on our path that we need it, that like we get this kind of hunch or this gut instinct of what it is that we need to do. And for us to really move towards the good that we desire, that image that we hold in our head, as fast and as effectively as possible, we have to take action upon these ideas that come through our subjective or our creative imagination. So this is how we can build from an image in our mind to something that we see in our outer reality. It is by holding that image in our mind, and when the ideas come to us, the hunches, that gut feeling, the ideas that we had from the past that all of a sudden pop up, and they don't pop up without a reason. They pop up because you have an idea crystal clear on the screen of your mind of what it is that you want. So it comes in front of you, and all of a sudden it is there for you to take action upon. And that is why it is so beautifully stated that if you take a decision upon something that it is that you truly want, but you don't take immediate action, you don't deserve to win. So let me help you with an idea of how you can build a crystal clear image in your mind of what it is that you truly want. There's several steps that you can go through, but I really like Peggy McCall's Power Life script. And basically what you do is you write out in on a piece of paper, how do you want to live in 6 months, or how do you want to live in 12 months, and you write it out in the present tense. A little preceding step that I like personally is to sit down with a creative mindset and ask yourself everything that you would love to have, that you would love to be, or that you would love to do, and get in a childlike mindset here. Don't see anything as impossible. If the Wright brothers had believed that because we are heavier than air, we'd never be able to fly, we would still probably not be flying today. If Edmund Hillary didn't believe that he could reach to the top of the Mount Everest, perhaps there would still have not been anyone that would have reached that top of that mountain. So Don't see anything as impossible during this exercise and write out 50 things of everything that you would love to be, do, or have. And out of those 50 things, prioritize. Choose the number one thing that would change everything for you. And around this one thing, you build your power life script in the present tense. And I love the way Bob Proctor always started it by saying, I'm so happy and grateful now that. And after now that follows how you exactly want to be living, what you exactly want to have, what you exactly want to be doing, with as much detail as possible, because the more detail you're able to put in that image on the screen of your mind, the faster you'll move in its direction. And why is that? Because you'll see the details in front of you. And everything that you focus on is that which you see. So when you look on things to realize those details in your life, you'll see them. Think about it. Now really think. If I ask you, and Tony Robbins does this exercise in his UPW events, if I ask you right now to look for everything around you with the color red, I'll give you 10 seconds. How many things can you see around you right now with the color red? 3, 4, 5. How many things do you see? All right. Now let me ask you another question. How many things that you see that were purple? You didn't see any purple things, or maybe you saw a few, but definitely not as many purple things as that you see red things. And why is that? Because you see that which you are looking for. Search and ye shall find. Knock it and it shall be opened. But you must be crystal clear of what you're searching for, or otherwise you're not gonna find it. Those people that are shooting for nothing will certainly hit it. And if you are shooting for something very specific and you shoot again and you shoot again and you shoot again, there's no possibility but for eventually hitting it. If there's enough time, enough effort, enough dedication. I found it so beautifully that I think in 1973 or something, Bob Proctor was like, he set himself a goal. I want to build a company that operates all of the world. And that was literally before like all of this digital world was even in existence. And before he passed away, he was doing seminars in countries all over the world through tools and machines and ways of communication that he couldn't have even imagined when he set the goal. But it is for us to set the goal of that, what it is that we really want, and over time and with the right dedication and effort, every single thing that we need will come to us. I didn't know that like it was going to be my next practical or my next management internship that would take us to Barcelona. I didn't know that because my lady, her mother had some roots on Cyprus, that we'd end up on the beach there. I just know that I wanted to be with my lady and that we both really liked the sea. And that is what we really wanted. And that is where we ended up. And those little things of like wanting to live at the sea or wanting to do a certain thing, those can be achieved really fast. And the bigger the goal, the more inspiring it will be, the more dedication and persistence you'll be willing to have for it. So that is why we have to set big and bold goals. So please, my friends, let us build a clear image of what it is that we want on the screen of our mind and use the power of our will to hold it there until we see it in our physical reality. Now, I also would just, as a side note, I've created something that perhaps you'd be interested in. It's called the Ultimate Life and Business Design Template. It's like a little 7 or 8 step process that takes you through identifying who it is that you really are in your core and how you can use that to set the most beautiful goals and create that life for yourself that you really want to live, and create that business for yourself that you really would be inspired by. If you're interested, you can download it for free at antonbenning.com. And for now and for today, let us imagine our way to that what it is that we really want. Thank you for listening today, my friends. Live with love and live with passion. Namaste.